What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Comic book reviews. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I am your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy. This week, another interview, man. I've been slamming them down on you guys. This is interview number 3 in 3 weeks. So either I'm doing something right or I'm finding a lot of people with a lot of free time. But today on this week's podcast, we have a really cool dude, Canadian, which is awesome. And it makes me feel a little more at ease because I'm sure he's just nice by default. We'll figure that out as we get into it. But Jordan Flynn, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you. Jordan Finn, sorry to correct you.
I realized as I was reading your name and I said Flynn, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but thank you for calling me a nice guy and for appreciating my Canadianness. See,
he could have gotten so mad at me for saying his name wrong, and he didn't.
No, what's the point in that? I'm happy to be a guest. I'm not going to be offended by anything you say, probably. I mean, I'm sure you could push the boundaries. But so far, no, like I'm happy to be here. If you mess up my name, it's not a big deal.
See, you passed the first test. I actually did that on purpose.
It was a test.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Very smart.
Oh, thank you. Oh, God, thank God. No. Inner monologue. Nailed it. No. But anyway, man, I brought you on because you showed me your book, which has to do with samurais and what was it called? Death Kanji. Sorry, I couldn't remember off the top of my head. And I got to say, from just the first 10 pages that you showed me, I fell in love with the art style. And the story is really interesting. Those 10 pages are enough to get you into the character, but nowhere near enough to know what's going on. And so I was hoping that, man, you could just walk me a little bit through what Death Kanji is about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the compliments. Death Kanji is a samurai horror graphic novel. It's an 80-page graphic novel, full color, which I agree with you. I think the art style is amazing. I'm just a writer, so I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn when I say the art looks so nice, and I'm so happy with the work that the whole team is putting in. So it is a book that is semi-Lovecraftian in nature. It's a horror book about a samurai who discovers maybe something that he shouldn't. How the search for knowledge can not always be a good thing, and it might lead you to knowledge that maybe you wish you didn't find out.
Yeah, totally. In the first pages, I mean, one, we get the Lovecraft quote. So right away, I kind of had that feeling like, oh, we're in for a treat.
Yes, I put that right at the front. This is to establish the mood. This is what the book is thematically going to be all about. Just prepare yourselves now.
Yeah, and I got to say, with that first page, man, with the cherry blossom tree at sunset, with that quote, it is beautiful but eerie. Your artist, is it Worochak?
Greg Woronchak does the line art, and
okay.
AHG does the colors. He prefers just to go by his initials, so AHG is the colorist.
I mean, those two team up, and already it sets that tone. And so it's all around just a great feel for a book, definitely for something that's going to get a little bit creepy. It actually reminded me, before I even put 2 and 2 together with the Lovecraft quote and how things were panning out in the story, it reminded me a lot of, Robert Kirkman's book, Outcast. Heavy line work, and just the overall kind of not the same colors, but it gave you that same tone of like a little bit of darkness.
I can see that
in the story.
Sort of a little bit of a desaturation to the whole story, and I guess we don't use all those insert panels that are so popular in Outcast.
Oh yeah, to the point where it's almost distracting.
Just constantly, every page, from what I remember. I haven't read it for a few years now.
Oh yeah, no, it's always like, oh, here's a big splash page, and then insert this dude's left eye, insert this guy's weird grin, insert this
Yes,
woman knitting for some reason.
that is
Like,
how I remember it. Yes.
but I gotta say, man, I like into this already, like so much so. And you're saying it's a graphic novel, 80 pages, so this is going to be a one and done story.
Yes, this is a full one-off story. There is no continuation, no sequels. It ends in a very ending sort of way.
Yeah, and you kind of get I don't want to spoil it, but definitely at the beginning of the book, it kind of tells you how this pretty much might end.
Yeah, yeah, right away, right at the start, you get the end. It says, "Look, this guy is, I think the first maybe third line is today is the last day of my life."
Exactly.
So I want to set your expectations in the right spot.
Definitely.
And the question isn't what's going to happen to this main character, this samurai, at the end of this story. The question is why? Why does this happen to him? What are the driving forces that lead to this inevitable ending?
Definitely. And it just plays into the story of how it without just putting this huge thing to be like to be continued or like come read this, it lays out subtly a good story that makes me want to know more, like in just 10 pages, I'm hooked already.
Well, thank you.
Which is insane, dude.
Yeah, I was initially just going to do the first 3 pages, which is basically just that one initial scene where he's sitting there ready to basically kill himself. It's not a spoiler. It's the first 2 pages of the book. I was just going to do that, but then I thought, you know what? Let's give him the first 10 pages. 2 is not really a good sample. It's not enough to show people, to get people to pledge to the book because it's a Kickstarter project. I was like, I need to at least do 10 out of 80 pages. That's enough to really get somebody like sunk in and be like, this is what the whole thing is going to look like, how it's going to be paced, and really sell a reader on that.
Yeah, totally. And now, so on the Kickstarter, do you give them 10 pages or did I get special treatment?
No, I am going to put all 10 up on the Kickstarter.
Okay, so
so far I have not published all 10. You got to see them before they go up to the public, but they will go up as a sample on the Kickstarter page.
I feel so privileged right now. This is what it all came down to. This is why I started podcasting.
You got them first.
No, it's great. So a little bit more about your Kickstarter, man. Is it currently going on now, or are you waiting to get it started?
Okay, yeah. So it's going to launch 2 weeks from the day that this Kickstarter goes, or the podcast goes up. Sorry, on June 29th. The Kickstarter will launch 2 weeks following on the Monday, on the July 13th, 2020, and it'll run for 30 days from there.
Awesome, man.
So it's not up yet, but it will be in a couple weeks after you listen to this, if you're listening to it as it releases.
Yeah. My audience is so great, he said.
They listen to it day of, right?
Just as soon as it releases, 4 a.m. and
they're waiting for it.
But right now, they're just lined up at their computers, just waiting. Like, where the frick is that podcast? No.
So if that's the case, then they haven't missed anything, and my Kickstarter is still ready.
Right. Do you guys already have goals in mind? I mean, like how much you're looking to get, or any kind of like stretch goals type stuff?
I am trying to raise $7,500 Canadian, which I don't know what it is US. Probably around 5,000 by 5,500. If I do it off the top of my head, I'm not sure the exchange rate. So 7,500 Canadian to get the book totally made. As far as stretch goals go, it would be nice if we raised enough money that I could eventually break even on this book. But other than that, no stretch goals in mind. I'm not going to do anything. And as far as rewards for the Kickstarter go, I'm keeping it extremely simple. You're basically just going to get the book. I have run one Kickstarter previous where I did a bunch of extra stuff. I was like, oh, you can get a t-shirt if you pledge this much, or a poster, and shipping became an absolute nightmare. So this time around, I was like, I'm just doing the book. Like, the book is all I need. I don't need to give out all this extra stuff because people don't really care about it either. Like, Kickstarter backers don't generally care about getting the t-shirt. So it's just the book.
Yeah. That's interesting because I've always wondered that, with just one, the time and effort it takes to create these rewards, whether it be digital art, physical art, t-shirts, buttons, like, and then the financial strain that also puts on you.
Yeah, it takes more money to do all that, right?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly, man.
exactly.
And so, like, to me, it makes sense not to add too much stuff because, like you said, you're just hoping to break even on this. Why put more of a financial burden?
That would be a miracle. Yep.
So, I mean, it's good, man. You got a level head, you're going straight for it. Hey, this is what I want. This is what you get. Let's do this.
Exactly. Straightforward with the whole thing. And you'll see that on the Kickstarter page when it goes up too. Everything is straight to the point. The whole description, the risk challenges section, all the rewards, the video is short, sweet, straight to the point, no nonsense. I don't want to cut. I don't want to do any of that nonsense. So I cut it all down and it's very trim.
Like a samurai, man, just whooshing, cut it.
And with the book only in 80 pages. I did not bog this thing down with all kinds of unnecessary like side, nonsense. You get the story that is necessary.
That's awesome, man. And so, since we're kind of alluding to this story, why did you choose like a samurai story? Usually with like Lovecraftian stuff, you always get kind of like that steampunk feel to it. What made you go this route?
The pulpy 20s sort of detective thing. I did that with my previous book, actually. I wrote a detective fiction called Hellcraft, which was my last Kickstarter project. And this time, I honestly, I don't know what the driving force for Samurai was, but when it clicked in my head, I just had these two things just click together, and I was like, Samurai, Lovecraft, okay, let's do it. So there wasn't like a build up to it. It just happened, and then I just kind of explained it to myself. I was like, okay, yeah, that works because of this. And I think what really sold me on it after the fact that I wrote it, I was like, this works because of the themes of the Lovecraft short stories, where these characters discover all this stuff, and then it generally just peters out. He kind of has these endings in all his stories that just end. The guy just writes the novel. He's like, and now the world is doomed, and I just sit there. Where this samurai character, he has this code of honor, and he's bound by this duty where he has to take action for certain things. He has a responsibility to his lord and to his community, where he kind of is bound to acting. So that kind of, it takes the Lovecraft short story formula, if he has one, and brings it to a different level.
Totally, man. And like you said, it boggles my mind that I haven't seen more like Lovecraftian stories with samurais, like, because as I was thinking about it and as I was reading these pages, I think it lends itself so well. And then the art style in its own right, I mean, when you look at, because this very much gives me a feel of like traditional Japanese art style, like stuff that you would see in scrolls and like history with them.
Well, thank you.
And so thinking about seeing like I don't know how this story plays out, but like a Cthulhu-like creature or like just any of those, like, I think the art style will lend itself really well to something like this. And it just surprises me that you don't see a lot more people taking different routes like this. And so I dig it. I think this is something unique and refreshing.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for the compliments. I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but I can tell you there is a creature, there is a supernatural or otherworldly or weird fiction side that it gets into. It doesn't get into it in the first 10 pages. It's very sort of I don't know, normal, I guess, but it will get weird, and there will be something for Lovecraft sort of fans toward the end.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like in the story, they're after something that the villagers say is terrorizing them. And they come across something that may or may not be that terror.
Yeah, in the first 10 pages, you mean?
Yes, in the first 10 pages.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a theme that I tried to delve into specifically, where these villagers are like, oh, there's a demon, and then they get there, and it's not a demon. It's just a creature that is normal. I'll just spoil it here. It's a tiger in the first 10 pages that you see. I mean, it's on like page whatever 7 or something. It's not a deep spoiler, but they see this tiger, and it's it's not a demon. It's just these peasants or these farmers in feudal Japan. They don't know like what a tiger is, so that is very reminiscent of Lovecraft, where these people would they can't quantify or classify these things that are beyond them. They just don't have the understanding of it. Where at least with this, humans have the capability to understand what a tiger is, but it's relevant to the Lovecraft mythos in that it's outside of your understanding, so you might label it wrong. You might think of it as a demon, even though it's just an entity that you just are unfamiliar with.
What also, it was funny because I was also watching this and I was like, man, if only Samurai Jack really went into this, like got this creepy. Because so I'm a huge Samurai Jack fan, and maybe that's why I took to this book so like fire to gasoline, man, because like it brought back those memories of like samurai dude. Yeah. And like you mentioned, he's bound by duty. He has this strong sense of duty to see this to the end, and much like Jack does in that story, and I think that's what makes samurais so cool. It makes them so likable, is because they're so honor bound.
Yeah, that they are compelled to act. Yeah, they have this compulsion to act. They are bound to do it.
Totally,
which I definitely think makes them relatable. It's kind of why like cop dramas sort of work in like Western TV and stuff. You always see like, the cop drama because this person is bound to uphold the community or whatever. Now, I don't want to get into whether that translates into real life cops. But at least in the fiction, in terms of the way that we tell stories, I think there definitely is a easy through line to get straight into. This samurai, he is a person who acts. He's an active protagonist.
Totally. I think we just stumbled on another great idea. We should start a buddy cop samurai show, like where it's.
I really honestly debated putting a buddy samurai in this book. I honestly, in a draft, it was in there.
Oh god.
But I thought this story is too personal. I don't want to have a buddy thing. I was like, maybe one character can do this, and no, it bogged it down a little bit too much. Like I said, I wanted to cut it and trim it to be as lean and as tight of a story as I could.
Yeah, totally. And I think it would probably take away a little bit from that story, because like you said, man, this is lean meat of storytelling right here. This is it pulls you in. It's gonna drive you through this story. It's going to just spit you out at but no, man, I think you should do now that we have this idea, you should do another story where it's like modern day cops, but just give them samurai swords and that cool little ponytail.
Yeah. And maybe some more Lovecraft stuff too.
Yeah, there you go, man. And then I don't even know. Like now I'm getting into this weird space.
Call it Samurai Horror Cops or something.
Hey, this is Liz.
Hey, this is Heather.
And we are Nerdy Bitches Podcast,
a show where two geeky ladies podcast their way through pop culture.
From movies and TV to our regular book club and everything in between, we bring you our favorite fandoms with a feminine eye.
We are talking Star Wars, Star Trek, DC, Marvel, comic books, and anime.
And don't forget sci-fi, fantasy, action movies, video games, D&D, board games, and so much more.
Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, or wherever you find awesome podcasts.
You can also find us hanging out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and at nerdybitches.com.
See you soon.
So, man, like, other than this book, dude, I mean, what else have you been up to? Just chilling around, just hanging out? I know COVID-19's been kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's been a thing. It has definitely been something. Yeah, I was off work for a little while. Like, I have a day job. I'm not a professional writer. This is only my second graphic novel. So I was off that, but I went back a couple weeks ago. COVID is seemingly dying down, according to the eyes of, officials in charge of quarantine rules.
It must be nice. I'm down in the South in the U.S., in Texas, and it's, it's bad.
Yeah, it seems like the U.S. is definitely much worse off.
Oh, definitely. Stay away. That's all. Like, just please take us with you.
Actually, honestly, the day that the shutdown came into effect, or I guess 2 days before the shutdown came into effect, I was traveling to the U.S. to go on vacation for Canadian March break.
Canadian March.
We were March break, which is I think a week after the U.S. March break or a week before. I forget. It's close to, but not directly same timing. But we were driving. We were on our way to go to the States, and we got a message saying, "Turn back now."
Like, turn back if you want to leave.
Yeah, we were literally packed up in the car, like halfway there to the border, and it said, "Turn around." All right, I guess we're canceled. And then that week, everything went shut down.
Dang, that's crazy. So, where does a Canadian go to vacation?
That particular trip, we were driving to New York and then taking a cruise out of New York down to Bahamas.
Dang, that sounds so nice.
And then cruises. Like the weeks leading up to that, I was so dreading it. I was like, a cruise, oh no, being on a ship, oh no, all these ships are being, quarantined or left out at sea with all the hungry people still on them. So I was very frightened.
Oh,
And then when it got canceled, I was like, I don't know if that's a relief. Like, it sucks that I'm not going on vacation, but it won't be a permanent vacation.
you're just like, oh, shucks. So sad. Guess we can't go.
Yeah, it was a very bittersweet. I didn't know how to feel or how to react.
Right? Well, it's so weird to me because I feel like cruises have been getting really bad press recently, whether it's the quarantines, whether it's breaking down, whether it's been a lot of bad news.
Absolutely. Their industry is definitely on the decline.
And it's so sad because I do want to take a cruise one day, but man, I'm scared.
Oh, yeah, I guess there are legitimate fears associated with it. Certainly in a time of viral infections like this, probably the wrong idea to go to buffets and be trapped on a small boat with recycled air of thousands of people.
I don't know if you're just a smart person or Canadian, but I think it's a little bit of both. I need you to run my country for just a little bit, man. Because I mean,
I don't want that responsibility. No, thank you.
Oh, come on, you can't do any worse than anything. Honestly, we would probably be better off.
Money involved, I guess I would take.
We would be better off if there was just no one in charge. Honestly, you can't do worse.
I'm glad you feel that way because when you see Texas on someone's profile, you go, Texas, Republican. You get a little bit worried right away just because of the reputation of the Deep South in your country.
Oh yeah.
So it's a relief to speak to somebody that's sane and from those areas.
Thank you. Oh my God, you don't know how it feels for me.
No offense, I hope.
No. I am surrounded by just. It feels like 28 weeks later, and we're the only humans left, my wife and I, and we're just surrounded by just terrifying people. And we were actually just kind of getting so just frustrated because it's literally an argument with everyone because, oh, the masks don't work, or, oh, it's a government conspiracy, or, oh, they're just trying to.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, just shut up.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me Bill Gates invented this with 5G towers? This is what you really believe?
I mean, no.
Exactly. You get those people, and you go, please just stop. Please just reconsider.
God, man, they're like, well, we were fine before 5G. Oh, Jesus Christ! And don't even start. Man, those videos that you see of people freaking out about the towers, people have shot at workers, people have clipped lines. I'm just like, what is happening? It's turning into idiocracy.
Oh, yeah.
Here. Just
oh yeah, absolutely,
man. So yeah, it does feel weird feeling like the only liberal person in Texas.
Canada's super liberal, but I kind of have a little bit of an understanding. We had a recent provincial election. I'm in the province of Ontario. Our last election, we voted in a populist, a premier, which is kind of like a governor to your states. The premier of our province we voted for is like a Doug Ford, or his name is Doug Ford. He's like a Donald Trump light.
Oh, nice.
So I kind of get it, where people all around you are just voting for this obviously wrong, horrible choice, and you look around and go, "What is wrong with you people?"
It's weird, man.
So mine is not as bad as Trump, but I do kind of understand where you're coming from.
Like I said, man, just take me with you. Just please, anything. I can podcast from anywhere.
Hey, you're welcome. Come on up.
Yeah,
Come on up. You'll hate the snow.
Well, no, that's fine because I can live with the fact of knowing they film a lot of my favorite TV shows in Canada. So, like,
oh yeah, definitely in Toronto we have a very, very strong film industry.
Totally,
here.
Man. And so, like, I've never been to Toronto, and like, is it a huge town, like, or city, or?
Yeah, it's big.
See, that's just, I'm horrible at everything. I'm American. Sorry. No. But like, I mean, with all these filmings and stuff, all these shows, because I mean, hell, DC films like all of their WB stuff there, or CW stuff there. Like, doesn't that get in the way of life?
I would say no, not really. I mean, I'm not directly in Toronto, and I honestly do my best to avoid it as much as I can, because we are one of like the worst traffic cities, I think, in the world. It's horrible.
Oh, okay.
But it's big. Like, it's a population of 4 million. I don't know what that is in terms of U.S. cities, but I feel like there's not that many that are of that size.
Yeah, I think that's close. Houston, because I live about an hour away from Houston here in Texas, and I think that's either about the same size or a little less. Because I mean, the city is just massive, like, and it is a nightmare. Like, I get the traffic. I used to live actually on the outskirts of it, and I would work downtown. And normally it's a 15-minute drive on a weekend, but for like my 9 to 5 that I used to do, it was like almost an hour and a half to get to work, because just.
Yep. That's the same situation we kind of have here, yeah.
So we're bonding. I feel this now. We got each other.
We are, yes. Yep.
Oh, man. No, that's crazy. But, well, we had our fun little political talk.
Yeah, we went on that deep tangent.
No, that's good, though, because I got to weed out some of my people. I got to get rid of the problem children.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it's crazy. Without getting too much into it, it's just insane right now, man. I've been thinking about taking a break from social media. But at the same time, you find these little nuggets of joy that just kind of help you along the way.
Yeah, it's nice when you connect with a stranger and you go, we have shared values. This is nice, and I can appreciate it. If
only more people here could do that. Just connect with a stranger and wear your goddamn mask. We would all be fine.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, let's bring it back to Death Kanji.
Sure.
After talking about real death over here, like, dude, man. So Kickstarter starts in 2 weeks, and your goal, like you said, 7,500 Canadian.
Yeah, I'll actually do a quick number.
Oh, you're gonna? Oh, he's
Canadian to USD. I'll do it right now. 5,000, about 5,500.
See, right there, man.
5,485 US.
Calculated. He's my data.
Oh, that's all Google. That's got nothing to do with me.
No. Take all the credit. Like take all the credit. Like, just be the guy. Be the hero that we need right now. Not the one that we deserve, but the one that we need.
I'm Canadian Batman now.
There it is. Canadian Batman writes awesome graphic novels about Lovecraftian samurai ninja warrior people, man. Like,
yep, pretty much.
I think, dude, we laid down a really good line for it. I think people now have a very good idea of what to expect from Death Kanji. I can't stress this enough to anyone listening. This artwork is balls to the wall awesome. Definitely for people who love like traditional Japanese style looking artwork, like tattoos and shit like that. Like, this looks like stuff some like Yakuza dude has like tattooed across his back.
Again, thank you.
And I mean, storyline's great too. I don't want to make you feel bad. No.
Yeah, that's the only part that I did. So you compliment the art all day, but that's got nothing to do with me.
He's like, man, the only thing this dude really likes is the artwork. I thought he brought me on to talk about what I did. No.
Talk about my contributions. Talk about me.
Well, I only got 10 pages. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah, I know.
No, man.
So if anybody does want to look at those pages, they could definitely probably Googling Death Kanji. I guess, I don't know, not yet. But on my Twitter at Jordan P. Finn, I have all the pages posted there, and I posted them on Webtoons. If anybody likes to use Webtoons to look at comics online, you can probably just search up Death Kanji on that website, and you'll see the first probably 9 pages if you're listening to this like as we're releasing, but certainly 10 in the next week or 2.
Definitely. And so you use Webtoons?
Yes, I have been posting the pages to Webtoons without basically any audience. I'm getting maybe 3 likes per page, I think.
Dang, that's so crazy. So I'm going to look you up. I love Webtoons. Webtoons has probably been one of my favorite reading apps.
Yeah, I like posting there.
One, it's free.
Yes, exactly. That's the good part.
But there's a lot of good stories on Webtoons, man. Whether it be like Tower of God, which has gotten an anime and it's been shooting up the ranks. Lore Olympus has been another great one. A buddy of mine who's been on the show before, he's got a book called Waking Life on there. And so I think
Waking Life, I'll search that up since it's on your recommendations.
Definitely. And now your book, dude, Death Kanji, you can get preview pages there. Have you ever thought of using Webtoons as a means to put story out?
Yes. The quick answer is yes, and that's what I'm doing with the first 10 of Death Kanji. It's just I can't afford to get the rest of the book made on my own budget unless I get money from Kickstarter. And I did the same with my last book, Hellcraft, where I funded out of my own pocket the first 60 out of 100 pages of that book. And then I posted those first 60 up on Webtoons and then kickstarted the last 40 pages and put that out as a graphic novel. So I do post as much as I can on there, but I do think that there is a level of, responsibility maybe to my backers on Kickstarter that people who are paying me to get this thing made, I can't give away their investment for free. Definitely. If they pay me to get the last 70 pages of Death Kanji made, they deserve to absolutely look at that book. But they paid for it. I can't give out what they invested in for free on Webtoons. Do you kind of know what I mean, where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I get that. And, I've always wondered that with people who do post to Webtoons, because I don't pay anything for it. I mean, I know you can subscribe to be like a premier member or, to where you do pay for it. But I've always wondered, how much does this help the artist, So
I mean, in my case, nothing. I collect nothing from Webtoons, obviously, because I don't have an audience there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully, man, you can get one. I feel like Webtoons is a very underrated app. I feel like more people should use it. I've definitely found a great source of new material from Webtoons. So hopefully, man, we can get some traffic going that way, because I think more people, and especially if they can check out the first 10 pages of your book there, it's a great place to check it out. It's super easy format to use for the reader. And so I'm actually really happy you mentioned that. Webtoons is awesome, and I enjoy it.
It is, and I agree. So any listeners, if you haven't tried Webtoons, try it, and you'll see a whole list of pro recommendations of really great stuff to read on there. And you can also search my book, Death Kanji, and find the first 10 pages there too. Definitely.
And do you still have Hellcraft on there, or did you take that down from Webtoons?
Yeah, no, the first 60 pages are still on there. Like I said, I just don't want to post the next 40 that Kickstarter people paid for.
No, totally.
But yeah, if you search Death Kanji or Hellcraft, I think you can probably just see my profile and see both of the series coming from one person together.
That sounds awesome, man. I'll try to look those up, get links to this podcast. So anyone listening, you can just check the details and follow those links to check out Hellcraft and Death Kanji over on Webtoons. But Jordan, man, thank you so much for coming on, taking this precious time away while you're busy getting stuff ready for your Kickstarter, man, and just talking about Death Kanji. I really appreciate it.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, Bry-Fy.
Yeah, totally, man. See, you messed up one word. I messed up your name. It's like we're even, but we're not.
It's karma.
See, we're all the same. We all speak weird, okay? Like, we make mistakes.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, man. But like I said, just thanks again for coming on. Everyone, check it out. Oh, before we let you go, man, where else can people find you? And just where else can we all find you at?
Well, I mentioned Twitter. That's really the only social media that I use. I'm at Jordan P. Finn on there. Everywhere else you might search, Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I just go by Jordan Patrick Finn. Twitter just won't let me type out the whole thing. I'm one digit too long, so it's Jordan P. Finn there, which is really my only active social place.
All right, man. It's totally. So go check out Jordan P. Finn on Twitter. I'll be just retweeting and going crazy trying to get your name out there for you, man. And like I said, man, thanks for coming on the show, dude.
Thank you for having me.